African body, is like MIGA of the World Bank. All right, it's a similar framework. MIGA is the agency that if you are investors and you're growing private sector and so forth, whether you are borrowing from IFC or even when World Bank is covering some of the water projects here, who are their insurance background? It's usually MIGA. So a TD is a similar entity, but belonging to the African Union. I hope that helps in clarifying that position. All right. And Kenya, being a key shareholder, makes a lot of sense that if we are among the founding and the key shareholders, as providing the headquarters has got its advantages. Some will be job creation. Some will be the flow of resources that will come out of this. And I'll give another example. Kenya is a shareholder of Shelter Africa. Perhaps we are now the largest shareholder. Until recently, I think Nigeria has overtaken us. But the headquarters of Shelter Africa is here. Now, if you go into the portfolio of Shelter Africa, you'll find that the largest beneficiary of the resources of Shelter Africa has been Kenya and housing and development programs in Kenya compared to other countries. So when you have a TD here, based here, it is an advantage that will accrue to investments here and also to the people in the region. So I see that that is in order. Secondly, I believe the legal framework that Honorable Sifuna is raising also makes sense. By virtue of it being a public entity, there must be safeguards in ensuring that there cannot be a unilateral transfer of the asset. And since the government of Kenya is a shareholder, that is a very important thing to be built into the host country agreement that comes with institutions that are based here. So I believe that would be covered. Now I may then touch on the second one on the financial regulators. This can still continue being held by the Treasury as a trustee of all the financial regulators. But if I recall, somewhere in the pipeline, there is either a bill that is supposed to reach here or is about to reach, where eventually all the financial regulators are going to be consolidated into one financial regulator. The name that Parliament will give this institution, I may not be able to know at this stage. But I believe that in part of the financial sector reforms, there is a policy position that is coming or that is already before you, that eventually there'll be one financial regulator instead of multiple. Okay? So that, I believe, will cover the second aspect. The third aspect is the St. John. Basically, what has happened in the context of St. John is compulsory acquisition. So when you do compulsory acquisition, you would normally take the value of the asset, the market value of the asset, and then add a 15% markup for disturbance and for the disruption you have caused to the entity. All right? So, loosely, perhaps the value of land in Upper Hill today could be up to 500, 600 million Kenya shillings per acre. I'm thinking aloud. You have to also now look at it in the context. What would be the value of the asset that was here? And then you have to add the element of the compensatory requirement legally bonification for the land that has been exchanged and given to the St. John. I don't know whether I've covered the issues.
Chair, the only problem is that you are speaking in very abstract terms, Waziri, because this is a process that has already been concluded. My expectation would be you would be telling us what the actuals are. I expect that there was a valuation for St. John's before it was acquired by Parliament. You should have that figure and tell us what's the value of that property, and that was a consideration for us giving them an acre of land in Upper Hill. The second question about the terms of the transfer, that is something that should already have been done, in my view, because the process is almost at a conclusion stage. So you should be confirming to us whether, in fact, those terms of subsequent transfer are included or not. But you are speaking in very abstract terms, was it? Like you don't know what the actual situation was.
Madam Chair, I don't think we are worried about that. As far as I'm concerned, this is a public transfer, and I would be very happy at a subsequent stage to forward to this Parliament even a more detailed documentation on aspects of the issues that have gone through to facilitate this transaction. So it is not a question of saying that we want to conceal anything. This is public. Okay. And when a government wants to allocate land, and it cannot allocate if it is for public good, it may not necessarily be under consideration, because it is not a sale. This is not a sale. It's already government land. The Treasury is the trustee. So it is a reorganization on the usage of that land. It's not a sale transaction.
Chair, lastly, there was a question that has not been addressed in terms of the involvement of the community.
In fact, I need help through Parliament, because one of the things that we have put across is that we actually need Parliament to help us conclude the law around public participation. Why do I bring this up? I bring this up because we have estimated through legislation alone, through the government legislative agenda, that if we were to pursue the government legislative agenda and go through all the stages that you ever imagine in just a one term of Parliament, it could cost Kenyans, the taxpayer, up to 20 billion Kenya shillings in the process of public participation, based on the estimates and the costings that have come from various departments. So before Parliament is sitting a law that will vest the whole issue of public participation squarely with Parliament, so that we don't have these multiple centers all purporting to say they are doing public participation. Others should do consultations or stakeholder consultations, but Parliament should be vested with the ultimate public participation objective. This is our objective. Now, this is a reorganization of the use of land in Upper Hill. We could, yes, interpret that one wants public participation, but if I were to ask that really, would this really call for that kind of detailed concern that a TD, a financial institution, is coming to join its sisters in the same locality? The financial regulation services is being consolidated from the government so that it becomes one-stop shop, instead of the taxpayer paying money through rentals with all these institutions scattered all over. So I fully understand where the legal argument is coming from, but I also want to say that on this one, to be honest, there's no loss.
Are you done? I think PCS, there's a bit of clarity that is required. Of course, you have explained the importance of these institutions to come together. But what specifically Senator Sifuna is asking is whether public participation was done. And I think this is something you can say yes or no. And secondly, there were people who are getting service delivery from the same institution. Now that that has been moved to Kilimani or other areas, it's good for the public to know. Secondly, on the matter of the ATD, we've heard about St. John's ambulance. It's land for land. But the one for ATD, is it only because they're coming to join the sister institution, or there was a certain consideration? Because I believe even if you want to exchange something, you must know the value of what you are exchanging. And that is the bit I believe Senator Sifuna is asking. You can say, of course, it's about 500 million. The other land is 1.something billion. And we thought, even by getting service delivery and employment for our people, this is the reason why we did ABCD. So, unless maybe Senator Sifuna wants to add that, but I thought that is also equally important just for the consumption of the public, so that government is not accused tomorrow that they have thrown our land to certain institutions, even if they are sister institutions. Thank you.
Chair, I think you've captured the concerns accurately. No, Ziri, part of the problems I have with this government is just how you communicate. The business community in Upper Hill are fairly reasonable people. Instead of them waking up to this specter where the OCS is telling them, oh, we have been told to close this place down, it has been allocated to somebody else. That's how information comes to us as elected representatives. And it shouldn't be like that. It should come from you. It is the same problem we had with the airport. For all the benefits the country was going to get, for instance, if we developed our airport, I don't just understand why you can't lead with the information, that you wait for us to see something on social media that the Upper Hill police station has been grabbed. Then we have to work backwards to get to this point where now we're having this conversation with you in Parliament. I think even a notice in the newspaper would have sufficed for the business community in Upper Hill. They would at least know that there is official communication. We have struggled, Waziri, to just find any official communication other than the Gazette notices that were put to justify this particular transfer. And from where you see it in that explanation you've given, it actually makes sense. Why can't it be that you as a government lead with the information and you don't wait for the business community to call their elected representative saying, oh, Capitol Hill police station has been grabbed, people don't know where to go for their fines, the vehicles that are in the police station, the police officers themselves are saying they have been thrown around the police stations in Nairobi. I mean, Waziri, to be fair, just providing information like this conversation we're having, imagine if it happened before the business people called me, we wouldn't be here. That is the whole point. And that community involvement is what we are looking for going forward.
Thank you, Senator Abdul.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I was following keenly to the way forward that the Cabinet Secretary was providing in terms of public participation, which is a good thing. I think it's a way forward. If Parliament, as Parliament, maybe we can fast track that so that we're able to conduct all public participation to take place, and it will cure the issues that Senator Sifuna is raising. As Parliament will be aware of what the government is doing, and we are conducting the public participation for them. I just wanted to find out the concern that Senator Sifuna has brought to the committee is that there was a police station at Upper Hill. Now it has been degazetted, and there's going to be no police station in Upper Hill, and anybody who has issues has to be directed to Kilimani, or I think the IG has said Golf Course, Kenyatta Hospital, and all those places. Although Kenyatta Hospital is closed at Upper Hill. The only concern about and I'm sure even the investors who've invested in Upper Hill, most of them are financial institutions. And it will be prudent for police to have a station in the center of Upper Hill. Now, since 2 acres has been allocated to financial sector regulators, is it possible, because it's a government institute, for them to provide space for a police station in their building when they construct, as a way forward for the people of Upper Hill? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Sigei.
Yes, Madam Chair. I came in here for a different statement response, but for purposes of record, let me request that I be allowed then to introduce myself as a friend to this committee. My name is Senator Wakili Hilary Sigei, representing the people of Bomet, and I've come in as a friend to the committee because there is a response the Prime Cabinet Secretary will be expected to table on a statement I sought through your committee.
Chair, just before we go to the CS, there's one more clarification he will give the committee. There was a recent pronouncement by the President about an amount of money that is going to St. John's. Is it the same transaction, Waziri, or it's a different one? Because I seem to recall the President saying St. John's will be paid 300 million for Parliament to acquire the current building. Just confirm whether we are paying the 300 plus the 1 acre, or it's a different transaction.
You remember, I just said that there's an element when there's public acquisition or compulsory acquisition, you would be dealing with an element of the value of the land or the asset, and then you have to look at what would be compensatory. And in law, 15% is built up, unless it has been changed. But to the best of my knowledge, I know that if you acquire somebody's land compulsory, you have to also top up by 15% of the asset. Now, looking at the St. John's ambulance, the conversation there is because St. John's is not a profit-making entity. So there are some certain considerations that the President may have been trying to address. But also in reality, I think it would be, in my view, very considerate if Parliament can also look at the case of St. John's sympathetically, because they are not a profit-making agency. They are not an income-generating organization, and they have ceded their asset to Parliament. They could have easily gone to court and demanded an arm and a leg, but they have looked at it differently because Parliament is also very critical for the well-being of this country. So I think it would be good to put that into consideration. As to what could be the alternatives, I would say it's a good proposition that the government should consider in terms of proposition, but I wonder how a customer in a bank would feel if you're walking in and there are people with guns in the corridors, assuming sharing a bank and a police station. I don't know whether that would be a very prudent thing to do. But they're not visible the way that you'd imagine. You have to also try and conceptualize the image you project in terms of a financial institution, and maybe in the corridors, very dangerous criminals are being arrested and brought to the same premises. So I don't feel that a safe area for your financial resources. Your point, Honorable Senator, but I think it should not be within the same roof. I think it would be good to have it away from that that. Otherwise, you can scare away potential investors. In fact, even senators here would never want to be within that premises.
Okay. Senator Sifuna, I think we've had it. Unless maybe there is anything that you want to add. You are done? You are satisfied?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Finally, we have a statement for Senator Sigei. I hope yes, you can respond to it. Have you received the...
Yes, Madam Chair, I want to confirm that I have received the response from the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Of course, immediately when I got in here, but I had earlier on been alerted that the statement was available and actually invited. That is why I had to come in.
So in the interest of time, can we say that maybe you can shoot your intervention?
Oh, yes, very well.
Instead of going through the whole statement so that we can save on the time.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
In order?
Yeah, that's in order. Okay. Because I actually wanted to confirm that as we speak right now, the concern that the statement sought has already been sorted. And I've confirmed on the report that what I have collected from the ground in terms of the ongoings is exactly what the response from the PCS has given us. To appreciate your office, because what prompted me to do this statement, Madam Chair, was some bit of a failed channel of communication with the family, and we were dealing with a situation where someone is out there. We've lost a plane crash. We are unable to communicate with the family. There was a denial initially of access, and that channel of communication was completely blocked. And when this statement went, of course, there was intervention by the government, and I want to confirm that we have since received the body of Captain Ruta, and the burial arrangements of the remains is ongoing. We are doing it on Saturday back in Bomet, and that which has been done by the ministry has been confirmed by the statement response that has come from the BCS. And I would love to appreciate the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the ministry in general in the action they took, the interventions that they have taken, leading to the finality of bringing back the remains of Captain Ruta, for the family to have a final interment of his remains. And so this is something that has happened. And my presence here then is just to confirm to the committee, as well as to appreciate the Prime Cabinet Secretary and my neighbor, the Principal Secretary, who I know is aware of this, and invite her to participate with us on Saturday, so that you also can explain to the people of Bomet the interventions that you took, leading to the position that we are in today. So to the PCS and your team, thank you for the interventions that you have taken, and appreciate it. But of course, I know there's still the remains of the other Kenyan who we are still working on. Please expedite whatever interventions that you can do to make sure that we have both our Kenyans back home for their final interment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair, just to convey our condolences for the loss of the people who crashed in South Sudan. And we'll continue working to see that the DNA process for the others is concluded, because it was a tragic incident where the bodies were charred, burnt up beyond recognition. And the only way to get the correct body is through DNA samples. So that process is still ongoing. And also to appreciate the sentiments from the Honorable Senator on behalf of the entire team. Thank you.
Members, any issues that are pending, maybe before we conclude? PCS, I think we can have a final comment. Or if you have anything to say, I think members are satisfied with your response.
Thank you. I think we are okay, and we've noted the issue around communication. And I can also, on my part, plead that Parliament helps us with this public participation uh,